Welcome back to Bits Be Trippin'. This is your host Carter. Let's get into this. Now in this one, this is going to be just a recap of some of the last few streams that I've had, and a lot of people that are on the streams always ask where they can get some of those recasts. Now you can obviously see this on Twitch itself if you just go through like the VOD viewer or just try to skip through it, but I want to make an effort to see if I can take some of the highlights of the various streams that I do on Twitch and bring that for you guys here on YouTube, for you can kind of just get the quick recap on particular subjects. Now we're going to fade in here the different questions or subjects, and then I'll just let it play as it were, and you guys can add comments if you like this kind of delivery, but I just want to make sure that the YouTube audience has an opportunity to see some of the content that's provided on a day-to-day basis on Twitch. So sit back and let me know how you guys think of this. CoinCalculators.io has this kind of miner distribution thing here, and if you go here by algorithm type, you see the distribution of the hash power right now on a particular algorithm, and that's a pretty nice feature. I actually thought of this feature a long time ago. I talked about it a couple times. Bottom line, if you have all these are the miner proof of work, either hybrid proof of work, you know, partially used an algorithm plus proof of stake, or just miner proof of work algorithms out there right now. You can see the distribution, and this is pretty much this is assuming a couple things. This is assuming I mean, they have to take some assumptions. They have to take the assumption that all tweaks to ETASH are equal. The epoch levels don't have any kind of effect on hash, which they have a slight impact on hash. Meaning, like if MOAC's epoch level right now, which is how big the DAG file is, in essence, is very small compared to ETH's, you know, 2 and some change DAG file, that if there is any discrepancy in that hash power, they're kind of ignoring that and just looking at pure what's the hash rate that's on this and what's the distribution. If you sum the total of the net hash of all these coins on ETASH, what is the percentage of share that a particular coin has? But is it mining also pay to win? It can be, but you have a lot more risk on that. So like mining is, you spend a lot of money, you have a lot more operations expense, where pay to win is kind of like one and done, where you own the stake and then you hope that the asset goes up. Where mining is a hedge on pay to win, where if you do spend a lot of money on mining equipment, you're also betting against the downturn, to where you have a hedge to come back to. So like if you go and just buy currency, all you have is the currency, right? And you're betting everything on the success of that currency to put your stake forward and get your interest bound on that. With mining, it's a little different. Mining isn't tied to any one particular asset. And that's probably its biggest thing is mining. Like you build a mining rig. We build this mining rig right here. I can mine any of these currencies, right? Any of them. I hedge my risk not only on where and what I can mine, right? And there's some play for that for ASICs, right? ASICs are tied to a particular algorithm, and some of them have multiple algorithms if the die is big enough, to where, you know, you have C11 and maybe a couple of these other X11 and X13 all in one chip, you know, if they write they stamp the ASIC accordingly. But a GPU can mine any of this, right? And that's always been the big play. And CPUs are even more out of the gate have, you know, the competitive advantage, because essentially if you can compile the algorithm in the series that you need in the bit stream, then you can just start mining it. Mining hardware that has a bigger ability to be maneuverable is always a good hedge. Has always been a good hedge. It's just not, it can't keep up with the arms race of specialization, right? Specialization is always going to trump it. And then it comes down to what's the direction of the coin if they're going to try to keep it off. Bottom line, if I was to make a prediction, and I don't like usually making predictions, but if I was making prediction, I want to make a prediction that Ethereum will eventually go a proof of stake, proof of work hybrid. And that's where it's going to lay forever, unless a breakthrough is made in proof of stake that makes sense for the no stake situations and stuff. Isn't there a resurgence of Bitcoin ASIC? I don't know if there is, and if there is, it's like on a SHA 256. So somebody forks or does something with SHA 256, you can use any of the old school miners on. But here's the way that works: is like if it gets any buzz at all, somebody could throw an S9 on it and just crush it. right? Because like my Bitcoin ASICs, my first Bitcoin ASIC is a Jalapeno from Butterfly Labs. That does 8 gigahash, right? So a single miner, 8 gigahash. So like, let's say somebody forks SHA-256 coin and says, hey, you know, this is the new hotness. Let's keep it quiet, whatever. And I put the Jalapeno on it. And let's say briefly for a night, it's profitable. The second somebody sees that it's profitable, like somebody put an S9 on it, and now you got 14 terahash on it, right? So 8 gigahash to 14 terahash. So are those things ever going to be worth any money ever again? Probably not, because you have such a huge entry point for somebody to throw 14 terahash on it in a second. And it just, now you're a 97 percentile on, you know, 50 people that have a whole bunch of USB sticks doing 4 gigahash. It's you know, it's bringing a gun to a knife fight, right? So to where like this, like what the GPU, the argument, oh my God, the fly's back and it's bothering me. What is it with this fly? With like the GPUs, this I can bring up an old GPU like this R9 390 and compete, not from a power standpoint, but compete from a hash standpoint. I mean, these R9s do 30 mega hash almost, but I mean, it's going to do 30 mega hash at a lot of power, but it's still, the hash power is not what's going up, to where on that SHA-256, a USB 8 gig hash versus a S9 14 terahash. You see the difference? That's why GPUs always been a good equalizer, right? And that's, but again, it's all a profit game, right? For people that are going to get into ASICs, is to say, hey, there's enough in this that I'm going to go build specialized hardware for this to try to get the competitive advantage. It's a cycle that will never end, unless whatever underlying currency make a decision to say, no, we don't like the centralization of ASIC mining, and we will pivot every time you go to build stamp hardware. And then that gets into a very cost heavy game, right? To where they'll keep the equalization. You're still going to have centralization of lots of GPU mining farms that'll spin up, but there's not it's only a horizontal scaling issue, not a vertical scaling issue, if people understand what I mean by that. Meaning, if you have a centralization of mining, it's going to be at a tactical use where this is equal to whatever I'm buying too, and I'm just horizontally scaling it to where I'm not going to come out with advancements in technology that are going to supersede this. There's just going to be more of these. And it's a horizontal argument versus a vertical argument, to where I can completely, where these are still competitive in some pricing, in some power situations. Like if this stuff was like in Venezuela or something, somewhere where there's cheap power. And Venezuela is a bad argument, because Venezuela is right now going through a lot of crap with their government. But these are 30 mega hash. The newest hardware out there is 30 mega hash. Some of them are 40 and 50 mega hash, like if you're talking RX Vegas. But these price points now are $250, but they just use more power. But it's not like, you know, 30 mega hash versus 200 mega hash unit. You know, that's where it gets, where the game just goes south.